Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 23 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us today. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be joined by the one and only Mario Andretti. Makes his debut on the show. We'll be talking to Mario about his entire racing career, get his thoughts on where motorsports are at right now and where the future of motorsports is going when he joins us coming up in just a few moments from right now. David, appreciate the time as always. David Starr here with us, of course. David, I imagine you're pretty excited about today.
Man, unbelievable. I can't believe, God, what a huge honor it is. I mean, when you say Mario Andretti, I mean, you're talking the world, you know what I mean? I think of the best race car drivers ever in the world, you know, Mario Andretti's probably number one on that list, you know, and to have him join us guys, man, what a privilege and an honor that is. So excited about our show today.
No doubt about it. Dominic Oregano of the RacingExperts.com is here as well. Dominic, how we doing?
Doing great, just like you guys. Really excited about it. So just kind of like a little backstory, some back-end stuff, right? I'll help put the Zooms together for these shows every single week. So when I saw Mario Andretti has entered the waiting room, I had to take a photo of that. That was unbelievable. So very excited. I share that same sentiment with you guys.
Absolutely.
Before we officially bring Mario into the show, David, I just want to get your thoughts just real quick, looking back on this past weekend at Kansas Speedway. I was there. In fact, I'm actually still in Kansas City as we're doing this show right now. Great race. I know you were enjoying the week off in the Xfinity side, but nonetheless, a big-time win for Kyle Busch on his 36th birthday to win the Bushy Mick Busch race.
No, it was a great race. Kevin Harvick, I mean, those – Kyle Larson, they put on a heck of a show. They did not disappoint the fans. Having the fans in the stands was awesome. And, man, it came down to the wire. I had a caution right there at the end. And, you know, glad to see. You knew Kyle Busch's first win of 2021 was just right around the corner. But what a show they put on. It was a great race. And, man, nothing surprised me. Kyle Busch was awesome. Kyle Larson was awesome. It was just a great race. Stewart Haas team, Kevin Harvick, you know, they're right there. And I see a win really soon for Kevin Harvick. Just a great race. And you back it up with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, again, won by Kyle Busch. That was an exciting race. It came down to the end. There was a caution with 2 or 3 laps to go. And I would say the racing at Kansas City, that track is awesome, one of my favorites. And it did not disappoint the race fans or the people watching on television.
Yeah, certainly so. I had a great time being out there, and Kansas Speedway, as always, does a great job putting on that race. Dominic, before we bring in Mario, I want you to do the grand introduction as the big research and historian of this show. Tell us exactly what Mario means to auto racing for folks at home.
Well, you really can't tell the story of auto racing without the Andretti family, let alone Mario Andretti. We're talking a Formula One champion, an Indianapolis 500 champion, a Daytona 500 champion, somebody who has done it all. Mario, we are so honored that you chose to be here with us today. We're really happy to have you here at Let's Go Racing. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dominic. Hi, David.
Hi,
Tyler.
Man, what?
Hi, guys.
You're man, I still can't believe you're on here with us, man. Such a huge personality in the world of auto racing. Again, you know, just man, it's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing of all your championships, all the races you won, and pretty much every form, every type of race car, sprint car, midgets, Indy cars, NASCAR, sportsman cars, Formula One. You know, it's amazing. Just, you know, I hear your name almost every day. You know, somebody's got a Mario Andretti story, or remember this or remember that. It's just a big honor to have you on our podcast, and just what you've done, your family, yourself, what y'all have done for auto racing in the world is unbelievable. And
well, the way I look at it is what the auto racing really has done and is doing for us, because as you can see, between my brother Aldo, my twin brother Aldo, and myself, we started this mess, you know. and of course the offspring, you know, saw it, reason to follow suit, and me as a dad, of course, couldn't be any prouder than that, to have my own kids following the footsteps. So, you know, if you will, we have third generation drivers on both sides. And again, you know, I fell in love with the sport when I was just a young teenager still living in Italy. You know, quite honestly, at that point, it seemed like an impossible dream, but I always say I never had a plan B. And when we came to America, you know, God willing, you know, we were going to, you know, how did we know that we're going to wind up in a town where they had a nice dirt track, you know, right in the proximity at the fairgrounds? And when we arrived in this country was, you know, in June, so the racing season was in full swing, and you know, we arrived on a Thursday. On a Sunday night, there was stock car racing, and that's when the first time that we were introduced to the real American racing, you know, because you don't have oval track racing or dirt track racing unless you do, you know, some rally in Europe. But nevertheless, you know, that part seemed like, oh my goodness, you know, America won't be so bad after all, you know, because Aldo and I and 4 other buddies, we started building a sportsman stock car. Actually, we chose a 48 Hudson, you know, to start racing here in Nazareth, and that's where my career started. You know, we Aldo and I, both drivers, we had one car. We had to, you know, we were alternating. 1 week, you know, we were driving 3 different tracks, and 1 week I would drive, next week he would drive, and that's how it all started, 1959. And for me, it was straight through to 1994. And I sort of come out of open wheel in 1994. And my last race was the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2000. Well, I won Le Mans in the class win, and we finished second overall class win in 1995, but ran a couple more times, and that's it. And so again, it's been a great run for me, as you can imagine. You know, my dream was to get into Formula One eventually, you know, because that's where it all started for me, and all of that came about. And the ultimate goal, of course, was to win that world championship. You know, and I clinched it right in Italy at in Monza, where I saw my very first Formula One race in 1954.
Wow. You clinched it there.
You couldn't write the script, you know. So, you know, I always say, you know, I've been blessed. That's all I can tell you.
Absolutely. And it's amazing, Mario, just talking about Aldo, your brother, and his son, John, and Michael, and Van, Marco, your grandson. But, you know, just listening to you talk about you and Aldo, I remember reading a book about, you know, where it started. And, you know, when you came to America, it's amazing. You settled in America on a Thursday or Friday, and you're at a freaking racetrack on Sunday. I mean, you hadn't even been here a week, you know. That's amazing. And, wow. And I remember reading a story that you won the first race, or Aldo won the first race, and the next week he won it or you won it. And it was like y'all were kind of equal. He won 2 or 3 races and you won 2 or 3 races. And I had read that your parents didn't even know y'all were racing. And it wasn't until Aldo got hurt and had to go to the hospital, and then next thing you know, you guys were in trouble.
Yeah, David. The reason that we didn't dare tell my dad is because, you know, the obvious, you know, motor racing was not as safe as it is today. And there were so many fatalities, and that's what, you know, you would see all over the, you know, the paper and the newsreels and so forth. And the things would have it. Just when we were coming to America, just that year, my idol, Alberto Ascari, who was current world champion, was killed in a test run in Monza before coming to Sebring. And then while we were on the ship, on the way over, the 24 Hours of Le Mans was running. And that's when they had the huge accident where Pierre Levesque, you know, wound up in a grandstand, killed 85 people. Wow. All of these news And then can you imagine when we tell my dad, okay, yeah, we want to be race drivers? I said, no way. Over my dead body. You know, he kept saying, the one thing, his favorite saying was to bring back more body bags from a race weekend and to do trophies, you know. So,
Yeah,
and,
he had a
you
good
know,
point
so
there.
we didn't dare, like I said, we didn't dare tell him. And it's amazing that he had to find out when Aldo had his accident, the very last race of the season, which was an invitational, by the way. You know, and you mentioned earlier, to start with, we had, you know, 1 car, 2 drivers. So it was a big toss of a coin, and Aldo won the toss. And I was kind of glad, actually, see what will happen. And he won the heat, David. He won the heat, started last. We started him last, and he won the feature.
Wow.
And yeah, and of course we came away with $150 that day, man. You know, because we owed the bank that time $1,000.
Wow.
We were
Amazing.
$1,000 in debt.
And you won 150.
We won 150 the first race, you know. Then of course I had to do the same the following weekend, which I did. You know, we won racing, we won, we lost, we crashed, we did everything, you know. But overall, the season was really good because we had 1 car. But in order to be invited at Hatfield for the 100 lapper at the end of the season, you had to be at least 3rd in one of the tracks in a 150-mile radius. You had to be in the top 3 in the points.
Wow.
So
man.
that we both got the invitation, and that was a modified race, and we were running our sportsman that Hudson was really actually quick because we got the setups from Marshall Teague.
Marshall Teague.
Remember,
wow.
Marshall Teague was,
NASCAR.
we bought the setups from the team. You know, they were Hudson was getting out of racing. You know, it was Herb Thomas, Marshall Teague were the top guys there. And you know how successful they were on the dirt tracks.
Yeah.
And we got all the setups. That's why, you know, because we didn't know what we were doing, you know. But I always say, with among our guys, we always got, I always said, the geek, you know, the guy that knows everything. And that was Charlie Mitch. And he's the one that made the suggestion, you know. He says, you know, here they were, the cars that were winning were like 37 coupes, you know, rail jobs. And that's what Charlie says, you know what, you're not going to build something that they've been racing for years and try to beat them. We've got to come there with something different. And that was really pretty clever.
Absolutely.
And that's what we did. But, you know, coming there, we had really good, you know, the setups and everything. We got the right car, you know, for the short wheelbase, you know, the wide track, the 48 Hudson Hornet. And that, you know, the rest is history, but we were very successful with that car, you know. So again, to have a good start, you know, is something at least. But coming back to that, oh my goodness, that was, I think my mom sort of had it, you know, moms, you know, they have that sense, you know, but she was caught in the middle. And my daddy, you know, we didn't dare tell him because I think he would have disowned us. But you know, when Aldo came back from his coma, the first thing that he said was, "I'm glad you had to be the one to face the old man," you know. So I felt, I got him back. You know, he was right on track.
Man, that's a great story. Man, unbelievable. Just the people that, I mean, Mario, just think, if you say, hey, can I buy your setup today? I mean, it costs you millions and millions of dollars to think somebody, your competitor, is going to give you $500
$500. Hey, David, $500. In those days, it was $1 million.
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Mario, man, it's just, I mean, there's not much you could have accomplished in the world of professional auto racing. You won, I mean, your achievements just go on and on and on, you know, just and this is a tough question, Mario, because you've done so much Mario Andretti. I mean, when you say Mario Andretti, that's just championship winning success. But what if I asked you a question, and it's a tough question, what would you say on the racing side would be your proudest moment? I know there's hundreds or maybe thousands of them, but if you could maybe pick one and tell us about maybe one of your proudest moments in this incredible career that Mario Andretti had.
You know, I have to go back to family, quite honestly, because it's things you cannot design. But, you know, when Michael and I were teammates, for instance, in IndyCar, do you know that Mike and I were on podium 15 times, and we finished first and second 5 times.
Man.
And we started an IndyCar race on the front row 10 times.
Wow.
So these are the moments. And then, you know, in 1986 at Pocono, the Pocono 500, there was a supporting race, the Indy Lights.
Okay.
My younger son, Jeff, was in that race. He was on pole in that race. He won that race. Michael was on pole for the 500, and I won the 500. Between the 3 of us, we cleaned house, you know, and not a lot of people paid attention to that, but we did. We celebrated,
Absolutely.
you know.
And your home state.
Yeah, you know, basically a home track here at Pocono, you know. I go back, I mean, there are other moments together, like, you know, in 1991, there was Michael won in Milwaukee. My nephew John was second. I was third. All 3 of us were on podium. You know, in 91 and 92, 4 Andretti's in the Indianapolis 500, which never happened before or since, the same family. These are, you know, pride moments for us, you know, loving the sport the way we do and having these opportunities. The closest finish in IndyCar, you know, it's between Michael and I in Portland, you know, and Grand Prix, you know, I won by 2 inches, you know, over him. Of course, he should have won, but he had some fuel pickup problems, and I nipped him right at the end.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. But it was on Father's Day, you know, so what the heck, you know?
That's amazing. So Mario, you know, it's man, I love that. The passion y'all have for auto racing and the some of your proudest moments, obviously racing, but racing with your, you know, with your kids and your nephew. That's just amazing, you know. Did Mario Andretti ever say, okay, you know, as a competitor and a racer, with all your achievements, you never gave an inch to anybody. So I guess my question is, since it's your son, it's, you know, you made this person, it's my son. Did you ever say, well, I'll give him a little bit of an inch here or there on the racetrack?
No. My wife used to go crazy over that, you know. She said, how come every time there's an overtake between you guys, you always touch wheels, you know? Can't you just, you know? And I said, well, it is what it is. As a matter of fact, I'll say this, there was the Meadowlands Grand Prix. It was the first time that Michael actually made a competitive pass on me for the lead of the race. And I was actually annoyed because it was at the hairpin and he came under me and we did touch wheels and so forth. And I said, doggone it, that kid. And then as he was going way into the sunset, well, that's my boy. You know, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, you know, and this.
A lot of moments there.
You know, but that's it, you know, so. But again, as you said earlier, you know, we didn't give an inch, and even when I beat Mike, you know, for you know in Portland,
yes, sir.
He should have won that race, but he was starting to have a couple laps to go, starting to have some fuel pickup problem, and they didn't want to stop, and I was about 12 seconds behind, you know, with a couple laps to go, so no chance of winning, but. You know, my engineer screaming in my ears. He said, Michael's having some fuel pickup problems, huh? So, man, I just stood in that cockpit and we're coming down for the drag race to the finish line, and I just nipped him by. Honestly, I have photos of that. The photo finish is 2 inches, you know.
Amazing.
We were on podium. Michael was not, you know, in a very good mood. Somebody said, "Hey, Mike," he said, "lighten up. It's Father's Day." He said, "Oh, yeah, great. Happy Father's Day, Dad." You know? It was a very quiet ride home on the airplane. And my wife says, "Mario, why don't you let your son win?" I said, "Are you kidding?" You know?
Oh, that's phenomenal.
That's awesome, man.
Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Mario Andretti joining us on this week's show. We are presented by Whataburger. Don't forget that every Whataburger is made fresh, served hot, and prepared just like you like it. Want jalapenos and cheese on that? No problem. They've got you covered. Whataburger, proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. Mario, we mentioned, you know, one of the things that makes your career so great is how well you performed in so many different forms of auto racing. From your vantage point, what did you enjoy racing the most?
Well, for me, it was open wheel single seaters, quite honestly. You know, it's usually the fastest form and the purest form, if you will, because it's not a derivative of anything. But overall, however, race car is a race car. And as a race driver, I just wanted to experience all of it, because I just loved the driving. The curiosity drove me, the passion drove me. And I find that, you know, when you have the opportunity to drive a sports car, you know, it's got its quirks. I mean, you got to learn how to deal, how to, you know, adapt to the nuances, whatever that vehicle obviously needs, you know, to be able to operate at maximum. And then you get into a stock car the same way. You know, it's interesting now even to see Jimmy Johnson coming into the Indy cars and in road racing of all places, you know, and try to understand that side of it. But it's a challenge that I really embraced. And you know, Tyler, I was very fortunate that I was able to somehow, you know, go with top teams, which you know that you had the equipment that was give you the possibility of bringing home some results too. That's the other part, not just to race, but to try to win. And that's the ultimate, you know, ultimate satisfaction. And I kept, you know, having some of those fortunes in sports cars, you know, and prototypes. I drove Porsche, I drove Ferrari, you know, and when they were competitive, and that's what we won. You know, I always wanted to be Formula One, and I'll tell you just quickly, you know, I said it many times, but we were in 1965 when I was Rookie of the Year at Indy, you know, and Colin Chapman and Jim Clark. Jim Clark won the race, but he was Rookie of the Year before. So we had meetings at, you know, at different affairs, and I got to know them. And when we were saying our goodbyes after the banquet, you know, traditional banquet, I said to Colin Chapman, I said, "This is 1965. I said, Colin, I said, someday I'd like to do Formula One. And he said, "Mario, when you think you're ready, you call me, I will have a car for you." Now, can you imagine, you know, what that meant to me? And in 1968, that's what I did. I called him, and he had a car for me. They entered the third car. And so my first race was at Watkins Glen, obviously, and I put the car on pole, you know, next to Jackie Stewart, you know. Wow. So you talk about, but I had a piece of equipment. Of course, you know, my teammate was Graham Hill, you know, but he was fourth, you know, so it was a pretty good feeling for me, you know, and things like that, you know. It's just that when you get moments that just, you know, it launches you forward and gives you that confidence is what you need. And, you know, even with stock cars, you know, my first year at Daytona, I was with Smokey Unick. And good old Smokey, you know, he hired me because he wanted to experiment with somebody that didn't know squat about, you know, stock car racing, you know. So he was experimenting on setups. It was, I mean, I was like on a pogo stick on those banks, you know. And but the following year, I had a good relationship with Ford, for various reasons. I had a Ford engine at Indy, and I did the Le Mans program and all that. And so they put me with the Holman and Moody, as you can see. And there, the car, Jake Elder, was my crew chief, and somehow we unloaded. Really, the car was good. It was not fast. It didn't have a good motor, but it handled well. And all of a sudden, I figured, now stock cars actually do feel good as well. So I felt pretty good. So by the time we got a decent engine, actually, Waddell's Wilson built the engine, that I won the race with, because I was not getting, the engines that some of the other Ford guys were getting, quite honestly. But I was squeaking as much as I could. And John Hallman was the guy, he dealt with the politics of it all. And he got me what I needed. Old Waddell just came to the party, with a decent engine. And all of a sudden, we had a car that could win, and we did. So again, this is the reason why when you do that, you want more. You want to. Why did I go to Pikes Peak with Bobby Unser? Bobby passed away. But Bobby's the one that talked me to go to Pikes Peak. Did I need to go to Pikes Peak? No. But ultimately, I was, by the time it was all over, after the third try, I won it. And then I figured I never go back, because I know that the next time we're going to fly off the side of the mountain. But nevertheless, just the opportunity to do all these things. And again, when you bring home the trophy, that's the ultimate. That's what we're all looking for. And so I feel that I've been really blessed to have had those opportunities. I wouldn't have it any other way. I know that just and today, you talk to some of the drivers, you say, oh, yeah, why don't you drive? Are you interested in driving something else? Oh, no, my contract, this and that. Well, every one of my contracts forbid me from doing that. The clause says, you have to have a written permission to drive anything else. And I'll give you an example. I was in Silverstone, England, testing on a Wednesday. And there was no Formula One race this weekend. That was the year that I won the World Championship. And in the contract with Colin Chapman, I could not drive anything else. But I was moonlighting for Roger Penske in IndyCars, and that year. And also was driving the IROC series. But and Colin asked me, says, are you staying in Europe, or are you going back to the States? I said, no, I'm going back to the States. I'm running for Roger Penske in Michigan. He said, oh, you can't do that. I says, I know, but I will. So it's just one of those things. And so again, as long as I didn't have any conflict of interest with sponsors and forth, I just would do it. I used to do the contracts myself, and I never negotiated that part of it. They always had all kinds of clauses. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. I figured, okay, no problem. But I did it anyway, and so I made it easy. But again, it's an individual thing. Some drivers are happy with just specializing in the one area, which is perfectly okay. But I don't know. I think I was more curious and I want to be in that race car. David. You look at some of these guys. The races they do in a year, like Kyle Larson and so forth. I've done some of that. I've done as many as 56 races. In a year. In '69, I did. In '69 when I won the championship. I raced in 4 continents that year, Formula One and everything else. And I raced in 37 races that year, and certainly not all IndyCar. So again, that was it. That's what I wanted. And, the end, my wife was such an incredible supporter of this, never made me feel guilty of anything, she would have liked to have gone on a Sunday picnic sometime, you know, but all our Sunday picnics were at the racetrack.
That's amazing, man. So Mario, it's just so cool to hear you talk about, you know, Smokey Unick and Waddell Wilson and Suitcase Jake and you know, Holman Moody, John Holman, and you know, when you stepped into the NASCAR world, won the 1967 Daytona 500. I mean, they're probably going, "Who is this guy?" You know, and but man, this hearing you speak and hearing you talk, it's you know, you're you know, what you went through to race sprint cars and midgets and Indy cars and NASCAR, sportsman car. I mean, all the things you did in 1969, like you were saying, you know, and to survive because I believe that era and that time, you were probably in races that a lot of these greats that you raced against and beat, that they didn't get to go home that day. In fact, they never ever got to go home. So the safety aspect of how y'all raced and how the race car, the safety aspect of the race car then is, like you said earlier, is so much safer today than it was in 1969, 1965, 1970. So it's amazing all the racing you did, all the wins you had, and all the championships you won. But it's amazing that you're so healthy today. And I look at you and I see you drive that two-seater Indy car. And another question I had for you, I know you want to take the green and race still. But, man, you made it through I mean, 4 decades of auto racing. And, man, you're still here to talk about it. It's amazing. Amazing.
Well, you have no idea. As you said, I take nothing for granted. Trust me. I know how lucky I've been and how blessed I've been. And we dodged quite a few bullets along the way. You know, I could see even looking at my brother, he was not so lucky. He was not able to, you know, continue, you know, his career because, you know, a couple of accidents, the last one in the sprint car, you know, 10 years after we started. But, you know, every time that AJ and I meet anywhere, you know, he looks at me and he says, you know, Mario, he says, I can't believe that you and I are still standing, you know, meaning, you know, how did we make it all this way, you know, with all the racing that we did and some of our closest friends, you know, obviously didn't make it, you know, we're not so lucky. So, like I said, I do count my blessings every day because of that. I know that I was just fortunate, and so far, you know, everything is just, you know, kept me, I guess it's no vacancy up there, I guess, a few times.
Absolutely.
We're going to be close to that. But nevertheless,
Right.
life goes on. But as you say, I'll repeat, I don't take this for granted. I know how lucky I've been.
Absolutely. We talked about, you brought up a name that I wanted to ask you about. First of all, I want to ask you about Bobby Unser, the Unser family. You know, you think of the Andrettis, you think of the Unser family. And I saw a story one time, not that long ago, and Bobby, when Bobby invited you to the Pikes Peak race, and you went over there and dominated and won the thing, I'm sure you never got another invitation from him. But it's sad. You know, it was a sad day, Monday, when I got news that Bobby had passed. And, you know, I was going to ask you, you know, in your career, who was your biggest, toughest competitor? And then to ask you about another story I had saw back in 1981. Somebody said that you and Bobby Unser were fierce competitors, and y'all didn't speak to each other for a long time. And then after years went by, y'all got over it and were great friends. So it's just kind of interesting stories that you read. How true they are, I don't know, but I saw that somewhere.
Well, there are many. First of all, you know, Bobby and I, you know, as you could imagine, we had so many battles together. We were good buddies throughout, you know. And like I always say, you know, we are, you know, you're out there, you try to kill each other on the track, and then later on you have a beer together, you know. I keep saying that. But, you know, that's the way it is. But overall, you know, again, a lot of people don't understand, you know, my position on that 1981, you know, when I won Indy, then it give it back to Bobby. He crossed the finish line for us after passing 11 cars under the yellow and all that, and a lot of people, and he himself, I don't know, he thought that, I was really upset I was upset with the situation. I said it from day one. I was not upset with Bobby or Roger Penske, his owner, for protesting and pretty much getting the best out of the protest. But, Bobby was never exonerated of what happened. It's the only thing that this deal was stretched for 6 months, depositions and one thing and another. And, Roger Penske had better lawyers than USAC did. And USAC at the time was kind of a lame duck organization anyway, because they were only in IndyCars. I mean, they were only promoting Indianapolis. And, they had a local lawyer that, just they could do anything with. So anyway, the long and the short is, at the end of 6 months, the Penske lawyer suggested, let's get 3 judges to make the final decision on the situation. And there were 2 outsiders and 1 insider. The insider was Charlie Brockman, who was a radio personality in Indianapolis. The other 2 were 2 CEOs, one from LA, one from Chicago. And the final verdict was, yes, Bobby Unser did commit the infraction of passing 11 cars under the yellow. And under the rule book, the penalty is 1 lap. Put 1 lap down. However, under the circumstances, the penalty was too severe. So they fined him $40,000 and gave him the race back. So, it gets better. The following year, at the driver's meeting, at the end of the driver's meeting, I raised my hand. I said to Tom Benford, the race director, I said, Tom, any rule changes from last year? He says, nope. I said, so hypothetically, if today I pass 11 cars under the yellow, cross the finish line first, is the fine still $40,000? He says, oh, no. Well, all fairness to him, he said, well, I penalized him, but it was out of my hands. So you see what I mean?
Yes.
My peeve was with USAC, not with Bobby Unser.
Right.
And I tried to, and I made that very clear after a while, because I didn't realize that, he always thought that I had a thing about it with him. And so we put everything right, a few years back, we were just having dinner at Indianapolis, and I said, come on, man. I'm okay. Hey, by the way, this is a 1981 ring.
So Mario, you got the winning wing.
Yeah, this is the 1981 ring.
Wow. That's amazing.
Hold it up
What
real
a
close if you
story.
would. Let's see.
Huh?
Hold it up close to the screen if you would.
Can you see that?
Yeah,
You see it?
There we
There
go.
we go.
1981.
Mario,
Oh, yeah.
what a story. Mario's got the winning ring. So
Yeah,
Mario, awesome, man. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Wow.
That is awesome. Let's go racing with David Starr, episode 23, and we're joined by Mario Andretti on this week's show. As always, we are presented by Whataburger. Stop by Whataburger for a hot, hearty breakfast any morning, day, or night. They're serving up breakfast from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. Dominic, what do you got?
Man, Mario, I know you, again, when you talk about the story of motorsports, you really can't say it without Mario Andretti. You truly have done it all. And when we say truly, even the sim racing ventures last year, running the race in May and the Monday Night Racing League in September, what was that experience like, getting behind the wheel of a virtual race car? And how does that compare to being behind the wheel of an actual race car?
Well, I think sim racing is good. I mean, it's interesting that especially during this pandemic, there was some great action out there, and the way it was presented, it almost seemed real, And so I had to get in the act of it, So I got a simulator and then started messing around with it, and they talked me into, entering some races and so forth. And somehow you get a little impatient out there, and the feeling is certainly not the same. It's I think I've been in a real race car for too long to be able to just readjust to just the computer, to drive the computer. But it was fun. It still is. I just mess around with it. I had been out of the two-seater and going to Barber for the first race. I went up in a simulator. Man, I just hanging around in that simulator. So I play with it. I think it's a great thing. It's a technology that I think we can have some fun with, and sometimes it's hard to lose to some of the journalists, that have been writing about racing, and they go out there and blow your doors off, on the simulator. But
yeah, is there a
nevertheless,
chance
I think it's a good thing. It's great that it's out there, and I think and it's becoming more and more popular. I'm all in on. I'm not sure I'll make a career out of that, but it's great to see that it's all happening.
Yeah. Any sim races or other events planned this year? Are we going to see you back behind the virtual wheel?
Oh, I can't. I don't know. I have a contract that I can't. My contract says you can't do that.
That one you got to abide by that one.
You never know.
So Mario, being from Houston, Texas, and growing up, AJ Foyt was my idol, my hero. Would you say?
Sorry about that, by the way.
Well, it's just where I grew up at. So Mario, who was your? I know there was probably a lot of them different forms, but overall, all those years, who was your toughest competitor on the racetrack?
Well, like I said, it's really hard to zero in on one, but going back to my career in IndyCars, for instance, when I broke into it in 1964, and 65 was actually my rookie year full time, and I think I was a little bit of a thorn on the side of AJ because he was already established champion, and he was 5 years my senior, so obviously he had been there longer, and so we locked horns a few times, but over the years, we just, I like to think we became really good friends, and it's all out of respect. I certainly have tremendous respect for him. I always did, by the way, and mainly because as fiery as his temperament could be sometimes off the track or out of the race car, in a race car, I tell you what, you could never worry about AJ as far as doing something stupid, that would hurt you or something. I respected that always. And, that's why he's still around. He was a very intelligent man. And what he's done, what he's accomplished, throughout his career, as far as even his own versatility, is something that inspired me, quite honestly. It's because of AJ that I think it made me a better driver, because he was the man that was setting the standard when I broke into IndyCar racing, and I figured, if I'm going to win some races, I gotta upstage this dude, and it was not easy, but it was the ultimate satisfaction. There's some races where he finished second to me, and that was the ultimate. And but it was a damn good day if I ever finished second to him as well. Absolutely. So it was just that's the way I look at things. And when I look back at drivers of his caliber, like Bobby, Jackie Stewart's and people like that, Nicky Lauda, that I had the opportunity to drive against. That's what really brings the value of what I experienced, throughout the years, because over the decades, Jack Brown, you name it, I pretty much race, against all these guys, even Curtis Turner. Wow. I mean, Fred Lorenzen, wow. You name it, Pearson. Richard Petty, and wow. On and on. You know what I mean? So again, Could I want anything more? No.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's incredible. We got time for a couple more questions before we need to move on. With Mario, one of the reasons why that we wanted to have you on here this week is to kick off the month of May for us. Such a special time for all of motorsports. You know, NASCAR's going to Darlington this weekend for Throwback Weekend. You got, of course, the Indy 500 coming up the weekend of Memorial Day, and Monaco, and the the Coke 600, of course, there at Charlotte and such too. Tell me about just how special this month is, and some of the things that come to mind when you think about the month of May, what it means to all of motorsports.
Well, you just you painted a wide picture, of course. You know, like the reaches across the globe, and it's all about tradition too. I mean, look at like Indianapolis. You know, it's over 100 years that's been happening. You know, on Memorial Day, and again, these are the events that somehow there's so much focus on that from a driver's standpoint. Even though it's like any other race, it should be, but it can change your life, can change your career. But these are not just races, they're events. I remember Humpy Wheeler when he was still PR man for Firestone back in the 60s. When he got the job as the promoter for over Charlotte, you know, he said, I remember just like it was yesterday, he said, you know, someday, he said, I'm going to make this race bigger than Indianapolis. You know, and that's why it's 600 miles rather than 500 miles.
Wow.
As you can see, that's a fact. That's a fact. You can check that with him. You know, but and then again, you know, it was I think in 1977 in May, I did 5 races. Like I did Belgium, but it was 5 events. It was Belgium qualifying. It was actually 5 races. It was between qualifying for the Indy 500, the Indy 500. Oh yeah, it was Imola, Italy. It was Belgium, Monte Carlo qualifying, and then the Indy 500. As a matter of fact, there was one morning I was in Belgium and it's raining, and I think, oh, I thought I was in India. I said, oh man, it's raining, I can sleep in, you know. And all of a sudden, oh no, you know, I looked down and said, we do practice and we race in rain, you know, in Formula One. And I said, oh my goodness. That was in Belgium. I thought I was in Indianapolis.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, so there you go. You know, that's Indy. I mean, in the month of May, you know, it's just so special for motor racing, as you can see, you know, at every level, at the top level of the sport, it's all happening. So there you have it. And we're looking at it, you know, just, you know, from here, that's where I go. I'll go to Indy. I'll probably do, by the way, about 7. I've been doing 600 to 700 miles with that 2-seater at Indy just about every year that I've been running there. Because I run just about every day, a few hours. And one day after qualifying on a Wednesday, we run from 9 to 5. And 2 years ago, I did 578 miles that day. So,
man, Mario.
Anyway, we got work ahead.
So Mario, man, back in I'd say, what year was it? 2000. It was last year, Indianapolis 500 last year, when your grandson Marco qualified on the pole, yeah. And you led the field in the 2-seater with your son behind you. That was pretty cool to have 3 generations. I mean, that had to be such a special moment for you. I thought, I mean, from television, I wasn't there, but man, I said, man, that this is a really special moment for any racing enthusiast, racing fan. It was very special for everybody. I can't imagine for yourself.
Yeah, you know, you just said it quite honestly. You know, Marco did a phenomenal job qualifying. He really, really did. I mean, that day he beat the best under, you know, maybe even a little tougher conditions, you know, when he went out, and I was so proud of him. And then to start the race, I usually, supposed to have some kind of celebrity or something. And Roger Penske says, apparently he says, no, he said, it's going to be Michael behind. And I said, yeah, good luck getting Michael to go in the back. in the back seat of a two-seater with me. And so and finally, somehow, all of a sudden, Michael said, oh, I guess I'm going to be right. I says, how is that? He said, I can't say no to Penske, he says.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but that was, how could you can never plan something like that. It's there with you forever. This is another of those family moments, as you could imagine. Who would ever think it could happen that way? But it did. So as you could see, how incredible motor racing, how the sport has been to us as a family. So many moments like that.
That is awesome. Well, Mario, we got a few more things before we let you go here. We want you to chime in on just some of our headlines going on in the motorsports community with our NASCAR News and Notes segment. Dominic, I'll hand things off to you. What do we got this week?
Sure. Every week on the show, we take a look at the top news that's going on, not only the NASCAR garage area, but all of motorsports. We'll kick things off this weekend with the Busch Race 400 out of Kansas Speedway, where you were at, Tyler. Quite a spectacle to see there with Kyle Busch leading 20 laps en route to his first win of 2021 and his 58th in his career. Now, that ties him for Kevin Harvick on the NASCAR All-Time Cup Series wins list, but to also add on to that, too, 17 straight seasons of winning at least one race, one behind Richard Petty for 18 overall, 18 consecutive seasons, that is. And, David, that trend continues. Talking about, are we going to hit 16 winners? Well, we're now 9 winners out of 10 races, or 10 out of 11, I'm sorry.
10 out of 11, yeah. Pretty remarkable. Mario, let's start with you on this one. Kyle Busch getting into victory lane here. This guy's something special. What do you make of Kyle Busch?
I mean, love the guy. I mean, of course. I mean, he's you can see he's a winner. He's been a winner, in trucks and Xfinity and Cup, obviously. I remember I was on an airplane with Chip Ganassi, I told you, and he was giving me the lowdown on what happened in Kansas City. And he said, Kyle won. I said, it's about time. I said, it's been a while since he won a Cup race, obviously for him anyway. But, it was just the right time for it to happen, obviously. And he's back in the swing of things. And not surprised, of course, because, that dude knows how to win races. I mean, I love his car control when tires go off or something. I mean, I'll tell you what, he knows how to make the most of it. He just slides that baby around and restarts and everything. I mean, he's got to figure it out. I mean, no question. I mean, winner is a winner, and he's one of them.
Well, and we saw his brother a few years back in the Indy 500 do very well with, I believe, a top 6 finish. And he's made it no secret that he wants to run some open wheel. He wants to run the Indy 500 himself. How do you think Kyle would do in an open wheel if given the opportunity?
Race driver is a race driver, with the right team. We saw what Kurt did, with Michael's team. He was Rookie of the Year, I think, that year. And he really looked good. I mean, it's he started, a little far back, but I tell you what, by the time the race was over, he was up there, and his race pace was right with the leader. So, as I said, a good race driver with the right team can make himself or herself proud anywhere.
Yeah. David, how about you? What do you think of what Kyle Busch did on Sunday? And do you think that he's one of the favorites now? Now he's got this win out of the way for the championship going forward.
Kind of like what Mario was saying. There's no big surprise with Kyle Busch winning, and he's one of the all-time best. And just listen to Mario speak about Kyle Busch, just car control. Especially when you lose your fuel load and your tires got some wear on them. I mean, he just comes to the front, and just everything about his car control, the restarts, everything. The guy's just incredible. He's a winner. It's not surprising to see him win, and the equipment and the organization around him and the technology and all the stuff that Toyota brings to Joe Gibbs Racing. I mean, you can't ever you can't ever say that Busch is out. You know, he's a championship contender. Kyle Busch is a championship contender, and it was only a matter of time before we're going to see him back in victory lane. And once he got his first win of 2021, I think we'll see a lot more. And he's a contender for the title, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Dominic, Kyle Busch in a bit of a slump of some sorts, you could say, but even now, I'm sure there's a lot of guys that wish they were in Kyle's position.
Hey, even in a bad season where he said last year was one of the worst he's ever experienced, that would be a pretty good season for about 75% of the field.
Absolutely.
So quite a competitor there with Kyle Busch. And then our other NASCAR News and Notes headline from this weekend, it was announced on Sunday morning through a Facebook post from his fiance that NASCAR competitor and racer Eric McClure had passed away. McClure had made nearly 300 starts across the 3 top touring national series in NASCAR as recent as 2016. Competed for teams like JD Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Morgan McClure in the Cup Series. Eric McClure was 42 years old.
Oh, Mario, did you know Eric McClure at all? Any memories of him?
I didn't know him personally. I mean, I had met him and so forth, you know, but I didn't know him close enough, you know, to have had spent any time with the man. No, I knew of him for sure.
David, you raced against him a lot, right?
A lot. He was my teammate at TriStars for a couple of years and was just a nice guy. You know, we raced for the same team, but Eric was just a great guy. His sister, his dad, his uncle, Larry McClure, owned the number 4 Kodak car on the NASCAR Winston Cup back then, Cup Series race car that Sterling Marlin and lots of different drivers have won the Daytona 500 with. But, you know, just tragic. Anytime you lose, I mean, you know, I pray every day that we're all so blessed and God has blessed us much more than we all deserve. But, you know, it's just so sad. Any death, you know, and I always pray to the good Lord, you know, we all pray, but it's like, I wish we could just live forever, you know, and I know that's not possible, but just anytime like Bobby Unser and then hearing about, you know, Eric McClure, it's just, man, it was such a cool weekend of racing, the IndyCar doubleheader at the Texas Motor Speedway, and then us having the NASCAR Xfinity being off, but just watching the Cup race Sunday. And I don't know, man, it just kind of, it's just sad. It's sad, you know. It's just sad. That's all I can say. But, you know, Bobby Unser, obviously legendary IndyCar racer, great family. Eric McClure, great father, great race car driver, a great person. And it's just any death. It's just sad.
Oh, yeah, certainly. So, real quick, guys, before we get to our last segment here, just want to ask you about the NASCAR race at Darlington this weekend. We'll start with you, Mario. Have you been? I imagine you've been to Darlington before. That racing always there is so exciting. What are you looking forward to from a Darlington here?
I'm looking forward to actually Joey Logano to win with the retro paint job on his car. He's got a retro paint job of my 1971, the first Formula One win for me in a Ferrari. You know, so and that was a surprise to me, you know, when they announced that. And I've chatted with Joey and so forth, and so I'm going to be rooting for Joey on this one. You know, I hope it brings him some luck. It's great to see some of these retro paint jobs, you know, to just to commemorate, you know, some moments, you know, at different times. Our sport is so rich of that, you know, in so many ways. And but I'm you know, I'm flattered that they chose that actually Pennzoil and Shell chose to do that. So again, I'll be all in for Joey. Come on, bring it home.
That is cool. And of course, running for Penske too. We mentioned you raced for too. David, you'll be at Darlington. Always fun. And we saw about this time last year, they opened their doors up to NASCAR to be the first sport back and with open arms and everything. They kind of kickstarted everything last year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. NASCAR did a tremendous job during this, this COVID-19 situation with all the racers and all the racing series. And I think all the series did a great job of being really the first sport to get back going again. And, NASCAR, because I was a part of it, they did a tremendous job keeping the teams and the drivers in our little bubble. And it was sad, our sport, auto racing all over the world, it has to have fans and sponsors and people. The people make it what it is. That's why the sponsors are involved. That's what makes, the fans, they support their race car driver. It's just everything's about the fans and the people. So it's really good to finally see at Texas Motor Speedway this week for the IndyCar race. It was a great crowd each day, and seeing the TV, watching the Cup race Sunday as well, seeing the stands there and the fan was just beautiful thing. But I'm excited about Darlington coming up this weekend. I love it. Tires, you're running one lap, your tires are wore out. You're slipping and sliding, and to have a shot at trying to win another race at Darlington is going to be awesome. And we're doing a throwback to Richie Evans, and so that's real cool. But I'm also going to be cheering for Joey Logano on Sunday too, just because I like Joey, but just it's kind of extra special because he's running Mario's throwback paint scheme, and I'll be pulling for Joey big time. I think it'd be kind of cool if Joey and Mario Andretti could go back to victory lane in a NASCAR race. It'd be kind of neat.
And you guys mentioned Indy about fans and such. I want to get your input on this, Mario, just real quick. 150,000 fans going to be the Indy 500 later this month. How exciting is that going to be to have that fan presence back? Not full capacity, but nonetheless a very nice crowd coming in for that great race there here in a few weeks.
Yeah, Tyler, no question about it. I don't know if I can add anything more to that, but the fans create the energy that the sport needs. I remember last year on race day, the cars were all gridded on the track, and I had an interview with NBC up on the 6th floor of the Pagoda. I'm looking down there. There wasn't a soul anywhere. Of course, no one in the stands. And it was eerie. It was just what's this world coming to type of thing. And I'm glad that all that is behind us. Quite honestly, I'm not only glad, I'm just delighted. And I share everything that you said, that, we all so much looking forward, to welcoming the fans that belong out there. And that's what makes the sport rich. And that's what gives us all that energy to just go out there and perform. And that's what it is. It's showbiz, and we want fans up there cheering. So it's going in the right direction. So I think that's what we needed. That's what we need at this point.
Oh yeah,
Positives.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fantastic. Our final segment before we get out of here today is our Ask David segment. We ask you guys to submit questions to us on Facebook, Twitter, and by email. You can follow us at Star Podcast on Twitter, by email, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com, and the Facebook page, David Starr Podcast, is where you can find us there. And Mario, we had folks submit questions to us for you. And so I want to start out with this question from on Twitter. This one's from Jeff at the Racing Table. He writes to you, Mario. As someone who has drove so many cars through different decades, does he feel technology advances have hindered the growth of drivers' skills, or driving today's cars easier to drive than cars of old? What say you, Mario?
Well, I think the evolution of technology is something that was naturally going to happen. I mean, it happened throughout our lives. Looking back from my standpoint, I wouldn't change a thing as far as, the experiences that I've had, coming through the different, as you said, the technology of the race cars. But I personally welcome the computer coming on board to give us more information. All that does, more information, makes you go faster. And then, again, I think from the standpoint of the drivers, a lot of people say, well, today the drivers have a lot more at their disposal, easier ways to do, to do the shifting, to do all this, with pedal shifting in our cars and all that. But you know what? Because of that, you're expected to go faster. Now, just to put things in perspective, I can tell you this for sure, and I feel this very strongly, that from a driver's standpoint, yesterday's champions will be champions today and vice versa. The driver can only extract what is available in a race car. And there's a limit. Each race car has a certain limit. And when we had just, some basics, as long as you took the car to its limit, you did your job. And it was just as hard in those days, like, let's say, Indianapolis, to do 160 miles an hour average as it is today to do 230. Trust me, that's a fact. And so, again, the technology factor is something that everybody possesses. So it's just a matter of just doing it better than the next guy, the next team, and all that. I think I always say, as much as things change, they remain the same basically. Never forget, the computer does not drive the car. And sometimes some of the mistakes, in my opinion, that are made today, even by some of the younger drivers, they depend a little bit too much on just that part without being more interested in learning more about the dynamics, not just the aerodynamics, but the chassis dynamics of the car, as to know what to ask for. Not just put on the car, make the change that the engineer, obviously offers, but learn to understand what you actually need. Don't wait for somebody to say, well, the COP of the car is 27%, well, I don't know, I don't think we're going. You should know what you need more or less front wing. You don't need to have a computer to tell you. And then as soon as you like the car the way you do, then you go to the computer. Okay, what's the number? Okay, that's the sweet spot. Like I said, there's so many factors like that. And I'm a spectator now, on that perch, and listening and watching what they're doing. Quite honestly, if I was actually running a car, even from that point, I would do some things a little bit differently, quite honestly. Not that I know everything, but sometimes you use a little bit of the common sense and knowledge, rather than just depending only on data and a computer. Okay, David, what say you? I'm gonna get a lot of feedback on this one.
Man, I love to hear Mario talk, because, man, I'm just a sponge, because he's been there and done it. And not only he's won the championships, he's won the races. And I've always, since on the NASCAR, since the technology has come into our sport and the computers and everything. And I love hearing Mario talk, because what Mario just said is, you got to know what you need in a race car. You got to know that feel you need. The car's got to turn in the corner. It's got to rotate in the center. You got to have good forward bite. You got to have good drive off the corner. Now, to hear Mario talk about, I've never driven an IndyCar before, but it's still the same process. You got to get in the corner. You got to get through the center. You got to get off the corner. And to hear him talk about maybe the younger drivers that are racing that really don't know what they need, and they go off what their engineers are telling them or what the computer tells them. It's interesting to hear. Technology in auto racing is great, because the racing is still the same. You're still going to start the race. You're going to get the green flag. You're going to have pit stops. Your car's got to do what the driver needs the car to do to be able to move forward and win the race. The concept's all the same, and the racing's great, even though we got technology. It's just more tools we have in the toolbox now. But it's good to hear what Mario is saying, and I loved it, because I'm like, wow. Mario is saying that the driver really doesn't, like the younger drivers that are racing today, they really don't know what they need. But when they find what feels good and where they can control the race car and can do what they want, then you go look at the computer and it's like, wow, this is what I like, and this is what the computer says, and not, hey, I'm not real sure what I want. What does the computer tell me I need? So it's interesting to hear Mario speak about that. But I think, and understanding how the race car works, the physics of it, the mechanics of it, and understanding at some tracks, some tracks the aero side overtakes the mechanical side at some of the faster speed racetracks. But, I think it just comes with experience and understanding how it all works, and to hear the great Mario Andretti explain that to us is just unbelievable, man. So I really appreciate what he just said. Don't let the computer drive the race car. You tell your team what it needs, and once you get it where you want it, then look at the computer and see where it's at. And it's kind of interesting.
Well,
Interesting.
And Dominic, I know that out of the four of us, you and I aren't the racers here, but just watching right now, from an outside perspective, there's so much parity right now in NASCAR, for example, with, 10 different winners in the first 11 races. It seems like a lot of it right now is coming down to what the driver's doing.
Absolutely. Is it a final restart? Is it something on getting off or on pit road, on a caution period? Or, there's a lot. You're absolutely right. You look at the comers and goers on the mile and a half too, and all these guys, and we talk about it every week, right? The new winner in 2021. David, I wasn't convinced at first, but I'm really thinking now we're really going to possibly even see a 17th winner before the regular season ends. That parity, it's in the driver's hands. What's going to come down to a final restart? What's going to happen as a car comes and goes and a driver comes and goes? And how can a driver manage their equipment?
Absolutely. And just, and look, I'm usually on my off weekend, I'm usually doing something. I'm doing a dad, being a husband, but we had the opportunity to go to the Texas Motor Speedway and watch the IndyCar race. I mean, there's some smart race car drivers. I mean, it's like, man, we all have the same technology. We have a lot of us have the same chassis, same parts and pieces. It just comes down to driver feel, the engineering or the crew chief of the car. But man, I was watching the IndyCar race, and man, there's some smart drivers out there, and watching how they run the race and some of the strategy they were using, you could actually see from above, from a fan standpoint, watching, the smarter drivers overcome it's like they're all intelligent, but it was just like the cars are the same, but just watching their lines and seeing what they do. I was impressed with Sunday's winner at the IndyCar race. I think the guy's name is Pat Ward. I think he's a rookie, and I think he did it. Is that it, Mario? I was impressed by him. I thought he did a great job. What was your thoughts?
He did a phenomenal job, actually, by having relatively limited experience on an oval. He did. I tell you what, some of the overtakes were textbook, and that. The groove for those cars was very narrow there. He didn't dare go up into the black, but it was, again, I really enjoyed watching that race, and I gave him a lot of credit. That IndyCar right now has got these two kids. One is Colton Herta and this Pat Award that they're really worth watching. I think some of the veterans are going to have a hell of a time with these dudes, as the season goes on, because they're really complete. I mean, and both capable of winning not on strategy, on speed, period. And so there's a lot to look forward to. I think the beautiful thing about, the majors, like even, stock cars and everything, got a lot of great new talent, that's going up against some of the veterans. And that's what racing is all about. I mean, as fans, that's what we look forward to. I couldn't wait for the season to start just for that. Formula One's got the same thing, So again, racing is in a good place these days. The product is there, and all the majors, and but it's really fun to see some of these youngsters, handle some of the old, the real foxes, I didn't think that, Scott Dixon was ever going to be beaten from pole after he dominated the first, on Saturday. And all of a sudden, these dudes just, had his number and his measure, and with a much less experience. So that was good stuff.
Got time for a couple more real quick. Along the lines of the drivers and all the talent that's out there right now. Question on the email inbox. This is from Billy. Billy writes, Mario, of all the drivers out there in any form of racing, is there one that reminds you of yourself? Somebody that resembles you?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one because obviously I'm going to go for the guys that really get the job done, but I don't think I deserve that.
It's the truth.
You know,
I mean,
I like the Chargers, the ones that just charge right from the beginning. I think in my day, that style was not really what was desired. And you know, we were talking with Bobby Unser, you know, Bobby versus Al. You know, Bobby was, you know, go for it right from the get-go. Al was more patient, waiting for some of us to drop out, and then he'd come in and cash in. You know, he had much better racecraft. And but today, you just go because the reliability of the cars is, you know, like unprecedented because of the rules the way they are. And but again, I just like the Charger, the guys that just charge on right away, right from the beginning. And again, I don't know, you know, somebody else would have to, you know, come up with that one. But all I know that I like to see that Colton Hurd has really got some great qualities that I probably wish I had when I was driving.
and you had all the qualities in the world, Mario, so that's interesting to hear you say that.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. Last one for you. This one's on Twitter from NASCAR Man, at NASCAR_man_RR. Mario, there's been a lot of talk about putting more ovals on the IndyCar schedule. What tracks do you think IndyCar should consider first?
Well, I think there are several tracks that I love to see, you know, IndyCar. And then I think to maintain what IndyCar is all about, you know, you got to go back to you know, IndyCar was basically started in oval racing, and then they expanded to road racing as well. So as a diversified series, you have to keep that mix. And you know, for some reason, I guess for some reason, I don't know why, somebody draw as much as the road courses, and that determines, you know, whether the organizers, you know, want IndyCar. I love to see IndyCar back in Michigan. I love to see IndyCar back in Fontana. I love to see IndyCar down in Homestead. And, you know, I love to see IndyCars back at Pocono, you know, and so somebody will shoot me for that, but that's the way it is, you know. I think IndyCar needs to have more ovals on the schedule. They have some great road courses, great street courses. So those venues are there. We're going to Nashville for the first time, and that's going to be a huge, huge event for sure, downtown. So that great mix, I think, is wonderful, and we got to make sure that we don't lose, and that we need more venues on the ovals, 100%.
I just got back from Kansas Speedway. I'd love to see Kansas get involved.
Let's go back. Let's go back. Absolutely. Let's go back to Iowa. You know?
Oh, yeah.
To Iowa as well. Iowa was always good, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How about you, David? Any come to mind what you think would be good oval-wise for IndyCar?
You know, it's just interesting hearing Mario speak, you know, when you know, as I watched IndyCar racing as a kid growing up and reading about it, it was always, you know, Milwaukee Mile, you know, it's just a lot of oval tracks, you know, and Mario has a lot of history, won a lot of oval track, you know, what he's done in IndyCars and all the oval tracks he's won at. And then as time went on, it seemed like they did more street courses and more road racing race tracks. And that was fine because it was like, that was kind of cool and different. But it seems like over the years, I'm a big fan of the IndyCar series because they put on great races. But, man, what I seen the IndyCars do at the Texas Motor Speedway, they had a great race this past weekend, but they have the PF1 traction stuff that they put down for our NASCAR race. And like Mario was saying, when those Firestone tires would hit it, man, there was absolutely no grip. If you got into it, you was probably going to wreck. But before they had that traction down, I mean, the IndyCar race at the Texas Motor Speedway was probably one of the best IndyCar races I've ever seen. You're talking about side by side, 5 rows deep. I mean, it was like unbelievable. So I would love to see IndyCars back at the Milwaukee Mile, back at Michigan, Pocono. I mean, because
How about Phoenix too?
Mario's. I wish I knew how many races that Mario won at Phoenix in IndyCar. He won a lot there, but that's an IndyCar racetrack. Phoenix is a great track, So I just hope that they get back to some more oval track races, and I'm sure with Roger Penske and Mario telling them what they need to do and being a consultant and who he is, I'm sure we'll see more oval tracks on the IndyCar series in the future. I hope.
Dominic,
nobody listens to me.
I don't believe Mario. I don't believe that.
Dominic, I saw you smile when David mentioned Phoenix.
Oh, absolutely. Not only because that's my closest track at 5 hours away from Grants, New Mexico, but yeah, the Phoenix
probably
race
have
is always
100,000
awesome.
miles there.
Say it again.
I probably have 100,000 miles in Phoenix between all the racing and testing.
I bet you do. It's a cool track, and I know they
I'm not kidding you.
Oh yeah, and they most recently ran in 2018, so I would love to see Phoenix get added back to the IndyCar schedule.
Hey, Tyler, I got a couple quick questions for Mario, just kind of fun questions, just some I was just thinking about. Hey, Mario, what's your everyday driver? What do you when you get out from your office or your house? What do you get in a Ferrari? You get in a pickup truck? What's your everyday driver?
I got a little bit of everything. I got an '87 Ford Bronco that my dad used to have.
Wow!
I have a snowplow on it.
87 Ford Bronco. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a cream puff. Yeah.
A cream puff. Oh, that
01 Corvette. I got some nice cars. I got I treat myself. I'm a car guy.
Absolutely. So Mario, the race fans, your legacy. I mean, you're just like I said. When you think of just auto racing, I think of Mario Andretti. You've won, Formula One champion, IndyCar champion, NASCAR winner, sports car champion, 24 hours, Le Mans, on and on and on. So what would Mario Andretti want his legacy to look like or to be,
Well, to me, just a guy that just lived the sport. No one loved the sport of motor racing more than I did. Maybe as much, but not more than I did. And that's it. It's just I devoted my life doing something that I couldn't imagine have done anything else. Nothing could have given me the satisfaction. And because of that, I will support the sport forever. All the majors, I'm not partial. Motor racing, I think, is a big family. I feel very much at home, no matter where I go. NASCAR has welcomed me whenever, I would have come to a NASCAR race. Have been extremely kind to me for very little racing that I did. But again, the family is really as big as you think you are. We're really small and united. Going to Formula One the same way. I can walk the pits of Le Mans. Almost every pit stall, I've worked with one of the mechanics one time during my career. Wow. You know what I mean? So it's just a great feeling for me to be around. It's been my life, and that's it. I don't know about the legacy is just somebody that just loved it like no one else. That's all.
Absolutely. Awesome.
That is great. Well, guys, before we go, one more plug for Whataburger. Don't forget that Whataburger is made fresh, served hot and prepared just like you like it. Want jalapenos and cheese on that? No problem. They've got you covered. Whataburger, proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. Mario, we appreciate the time. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon with us. Tell us before we let you go here what the next few weeks look like for you as you get ready for the Indy 500 and stuff. What's on your plate?
Well, coming up, and like you said, in 2 weeks is the Indy Grand Prix, so I'll be there. I'll be driving the two-seater down on the road course. And then, of course, as soon as practice starts, every morning before the real boys get on there, we about 2 hours, with a two-seater run every day. I'll be doing as many miles as they do, so enjoying every day. And it's going to be a full month. I have, my plate is full. with a lot of activity. And that, as usual, as you say, we've got to pack a lot of clothes for that month because there's a lot of many dinners, everything going on. So just looking forward to it. I'm just resting for a couple of days because I've been on the road for 2 weeks now. So, but all charged up and ready to go.
Awesome.
That's awesome. David, you're about to head to Darlington.
I am. I'm excited, man. About to get back to racing. The track too tough to tame, so I'm looking forward to that. And just a great weekend with all the throwbacks. But I want to say what an honor it's been to talk to Mario Andretti. I mean, as a young boy, a little boy, always wanted to be a race car driver. I so many books. Read about Mario Andretti and Otto Andretti and your family, and just man, it's such an honor and a pleasure to have you on our show, Mario. Thank you.
You're very kind. You're very kind, David. I'll root for you.
Well, thank you.
I'll be looking for you.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate that. I hope I can live up to the Mario Andretti standards, but I appreciate it. All right.
No pressure, but you will.
All right.
Awesome. Now you got a lot to live up to there, David.
Absolutely.
This is week 1 of Championship May here on Let's Go Racing. What do we got in store next week?
Well, we got a lot of fun stuff. Not only we're doing a lot of giveaways, autograph giveaways on our Twitter and Facebook pages every week. You can win some autographed David Starr memorabilia. But also, our next guest, continuing the championship month of May, we are welcoming 2009 Coca-Cola 600 champion David Rudiman to the show next week for episode 24 of Let's Go Racing. So, who the man? David Rudiman. He's joining us next week.
Awesome.
We'll look forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. Mario, it was our pleasure. You're welcome back here anytime on this show. We'd be glad to have you. We're going to put the checkered flag out on this show. A reminder, as always, to subscribe to Let's Go Racing with David Starr on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review or don't leave us one at all. Also on YouTube, and hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate that. Twitter, at David Starr Podcast on Facebook. Twitter, at Starr Podcast. Email, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. Got to run for Mario Andretti, David Starr, Dominic Oregon. I'm Tyler Jones saying so long. It's been another edition of Let's Go Racing. We'll see you next time.